Tokyo Ghoul, Season 1. What pops into your mind? Is it the mediocre adaptation, or is it the opening? For me, it was the opening, because Unravel was such a banger that even after all these years, you wish the adaptation of the anime was half as good as the song. I know that makes no sense at all, but you get what I'm trying to say. But to the 11-year-old me, Unravel was a real anime adaptation. It captured everything I liked about the manga: mystery, gore, symbolism, and edge. Not to mention TK's killer voice. That's just one example of an opening I enjoyed quite a bit. Obviously, people will have different opinions, and if I'm being perfectly honest, looking back at the visuals of the opening, there wasn't nearly as much substance as the 11-year-old me saw. But regardless, a good OP isn't, or at least shouldn't be, characterized by one trait. Sure, the song plays the most part, but how does the opening present itself in terms of quality? It could be a Victoria's Secret model walking down the runway, or it could be a 6-year-old me running down Walmart aisle with piss leaking down his leg. You can decide which one is better. Music, visuals, symbolism can all be attributed to a good OP. If an opening just has a kick-ass song and some sick cuts, then I'm down for that as well. Nonetheless, openings don't have to follow a specific criteria to be good. Let's take a look at Mushoku Tensei. Each episode, the opening track is played over scenes of the world's environment. Sure, they're not the most exciting thing, but it matches the overall quality and pace of the show, one that takes its time building the world around it. And then you have Mob Psycho's opening, which is basically tripping on acid, the OP. Each capture the essence of the show while barely spoiling anything to the average viewer. Mushoku Tensei, a fantasy setting yet it makes you feel as though this world could actually exist. And Mob Psychos, where at first it seems like a trip gone wrong, like really wrong, but it has more than meets the eye. These two examples don't really capture the scope of the variety of openings, but you can kinda get the gist of it. Also, Jojo openings are in a different league of their own. Now what makes an opening legendary? Something so good you listen to it when you're mowing the lawn, working out, eating spaghetti, or giving yourself a hand. Honestly, I don't know. Depending on your impression of the subject material and the overall theme of the show, you may view an opening in a completely different light than someone else. For me, and probably many others, Bloody Stream is the opening where I could curl some sick weights while having an erection due to how much I enjoyed Season 2. Even before I watched Battle Tendency in its entirety, I kinda got the gist of the story from the opening already. Boom, you get the big two main pro tags, the special thingamabob that everyone wants, supporting cast, the big bads, the biggest bad, and one of the pro tags dies? No, I'm not saying I knew this at a first glance. Fuck no, my Pee-wee brain only thought, wow, it's so pretty, wow, Jojo is so cool, and where did Dio go? After a couple more viewings, I understood the premise a little better, but that doesn't mean the show became worse, or the viewing experience degraded for me. It wasn't the main plot that kept me entertained. In part 2, it was Joseph, the supporting cast, and the Jojo moments that kept me hooked. Overall, the show knew that most fans probably read the manga, or had at least known the premise of the story, allowing them to make an opening a little more revealing for the sake of pizzazz. Moving on to a show I deeply love, welcome to the NHK. For those who haven't seen this show, it's basically about a man defeating his depression by using BDSM, and with the power of his friends, he's able to defeat the super bad Mr. Apple Dapples. No, but seriously, welcome to the NHK deserves its own video, and I'm supposed to be talking about the opening anyways. Unlike Bloody Stream, Puzzle doesn't reveal the main premise, or at least not as obviously. But visually, the opening expresses its overall theme through shapes and colors. As the name Puzzle suggests, once you put all the pieces together, certain characters can be understood as to why they turned out the way they did. Again, what I'm saying isn't new or profound, just like the rest of my content, but I can't help but appreciate the material for what it is. The opening gives a joyful yet somber tone, especially after finishing the series, and it really sucks when they stop using the trumpets. Overall, this is an opening that differs completely from the previous, yet maintains the same or more impact. Just a quick honorable mention, Elfen Lied's opening gives me post-nut clarity. To conclude, openings are an artwork by themselves. The amount of depth an opening can convey ranges from a puddle to the whole ocean. An opening can't ruin a show, but it can make it so much more memorable with its presentation as the embodiment of a show, or the overall tone with the exception of some. With that said, I think I'll be ending today's video.